Welcome to the pilgrimage, the Hildegard Way, walk in the footsteps of Saint Hildegard on September 8th through the 18th in Bingen, Germany. Website right here, which has information about going on this pilgrimage with us, with more details in terms of the registration and all that. So I just want to make sure that you were aware of that. This is not the Camino de Santiago where we're going to walk 1,500 miles. This is something that has been in my heart since I went over there 10 years ago for the first time and walked the land of Hildegard. I made my first film, The Unruly Mystic Saint Hildegard. And you and I lived there last year, and we were able to kind of go and really kind of immerse ourselves in Germany and with our German friends and our colleagues. And now we've finally put this together. And we have the co-sponsorship with the Episcopal Church in Colorado, and we have Canon, the Reverend Canon John Anderson, who's online with us right now, who will also be joining us. We have a total of 21 people going. 18 of them are pilgrims. For me, is that I really want people to have this experience of being someplace that has given me so much, and also get the history of being in the land of Hildegard, learning about Hildegard. And we have a really unique opportunity because of the relationship that we have with our German friends. Annette Esser was just here in Boulder over Easter, and she wrote a book which is called Hildegard of Bingen Pilgrimage book. It's published by Liturgical Press. Annette was responsible in 2017 with getting the Hildegard Way established through all these small little towns that are kind of spread out along the way. And she also set up these placards where you can actually go and read from Scivias in either English or in German about Hildegard and why that place is important. And the itinerary that we're taking on is going to the highlights of the pilgrimage way for Hildegard. We're not doing the whole thing. We're taking you to the highlights. And we're also staying in one place, this really grand hotel in Bad Kreuznach, which is a spa town, and doing these excursions every day out to these places.
I'd like to think that the theme for this walk is transformation. So I've never done the Camino de Santiago, but from what I understand, that is a lot of just going from place A to place B. You're carrying your own things, and we wanted to do something that was I wouldn't necessarily a little bit slower pace, but has a little it's a little bit more detail oriented. So Saint Hildegard, she wrote quite a lot about nature. She had a vision, and she heard a voice tell her to write down what you see and what you hear. And because nature was so important to her, she wrote about the birds and the trees and the fish and the animals and the plants. We really wanted you to have the experience to take a little bit of a slower pace and notice the forest and notice the towns and notice what's around you and notice the people that are around you. You know, she led a monastic life, and what that meant was her day was based around work, um, study, pray. And then every night, everyone in the monastery would go back to their own individual cell, their own individual room, and reflect on their day. And so that's part of the reason why we have chosen, rather than to stay in a different place every night, you will have your own space every night to come back to reflect on what you saw and what you heard and what you experienced. And then the next morning, we get to start all over and do it again. But this isn't about it isn't so much about going from place A to place B, but noticing all those different changes. So the other thing that I really find inspiration about Hildegard, if you look at her life, it's sort of a collage, or it's even a kaleidoscope. So if you see a kaleidoscope picture, it can be very beautiful on first glance. And then you start to notice different little details. And because we will be going to all these different places, and we have speakers lined up, we have conference speakers lined up, we have musical performances. The picture that you see at the beginning of the week is not necessarily going to be the same picture that you see at the end of the week, because you're going to be noticing much different aspects of it. It's like a kaleidoscope. It's going to shift just a little bit. It's going to transform the way that you see Hildegard, because you're going to be noticing much different aspects about it, about her life, about the landscape, about the places that were important to her, about why they were important to her. She believed that music was came directly from God, and so music is so important to her. Being outside is important. Appreciating everything around you, and so we really want to give you that experience. So when Michael and I walked the trail in 2019, we did. It was unfortunately way too hot to do the whole trail, but when we were there last year, we did most of it, and so we really chose and curated the specific spots that we feel like are the most important and the most beautiful, and that you'll get the most out of.
So here we are looking at Europe. We're right in the center of Europe. And then the Rhine is between the airport and where we're going. And so way over here is Bingen. And that red line is the Hildegard Way Trail. And you can see it goes way down to here. And so this is where we actually start. And we're just walking highlights of it. Heather and I, when we did it in 2019, we probably walked what, 130 miles? No, 80 miles.
Got that.
80 miles carrying cameras, all the kind of a gear. And with you as a group, we're probably going to do less than 40 miles of this trail. We're actually staying in Bad Kreuznach, which is right here, right in front of me. So this is the town that we're staying in. All these towns, as you kind of notice, have a lot of agriculture around them. Specifically, this is all grape wine growing for the Riesling. And so the one I wanted to show to you is really kind of this first day where we start.
Sorry.
Well, we're going to start here in Oberstein, which is kind of like the gem town. And let me just make this a little more 3D for you. We're not going on the whole trail here. So we're starting in the town. Here's the Frauenkirche, which is the church on the rock. We get back into the car and we drive, avoiding this long walk, which I have yet to do. I kind of wanted to do it. We did part of it before. But the area that we're taking you to is right here, right, Heather?
So it's a 13th century town. It is associated with Hildegard.
Iter Oberstein or which?
Iter Oberstein. Before World War II, there was quite a lot of gem mining going on there, and there's Hildegard talks quite a lot about the power of gems. So we're going to start in Iter Oberstein. We'll go ahead and see what the museum there. We'll see the placard, and then we'll go on to the next town. And the trail's a little bit easier there. So it goes through the forest. It's sort of rolling hills. It's through the grapevines, and there's fields of wheat, and it's really, really pretty. We didn't think it was really necessary to go all the way up and over the mountain because there's so much to see and so much to do there. So Herstein is again a very, very old town. Hildegard definitely went there during her time, but we're going to be starting in Herstein and then going down to the next town where in Bersheim, where they believe she was born.
So this is kind of what Heather's saying here. So here's Herstein, and we do this walk like this to
Niederhosenbach.
Niederhosenbach. So that's the kind of thing what we're looking for. And you can just look at this picture, and if you look at the like the post, the book for Hildegard Speaks, and you look at that's kind of like view of just this amazing kind of walking out in the fields. Cynthia, in the book that you have, the last page of it can take you to the videos of each of the sections. There's a QR code that we put in there. Yeah, so you can actually go and kind of see what it looks like. But I wanted to just kind of give you a sense of what the countryside looked like, kind of the geography of where we're going, and then to kind of in relationship to Frankfurt. And then we end up after 9 days, the second to the last day, we end up way back into Bingham, which is right over here. Here's the Rhine, here's Rupertsburg, and then across the river, and we'll be going over to there, is Rudesheim on the Rhine, and then the Abbey is right up here on the hill. And so we'll be back over here for the feast day, which occurs down here in the Shrine Church. Right here, you guys will be in this, it turns into, it's not a parking lot during the feast day, but you'll be walking all the way through this town with all the Germans who'll be celebrating her feast. And so this is kind of the land of Hildegard in terms of like the overview. But I do want to hear from John Anderson, and just in terms of what he's offering and what his perspective is in terms of the Episcopal Church.
Thanks, Michael, and Heather as well. This is a great opportunity to kind of begin to come together as a little community that will hopefully you all will be doing this pilgrimage with us. And I can't emphasize enough the differences between what one of my colleagues, Canon Mike Orr, is doing right now on sabbatical, which is the whole Camino de Santiago, and he is about a week and maybe a few days into it, and he's already on his second pair of shoes and a number of other things. So the walking that we'll be doing, as Michael and Heather have described, won't be quite that intense. So I think maybe a sauntering pilgrimage is kind of what we'll be about. But part of what we'll be doing along the way, in addition to the festivals and the musical offerings and all of those kinds of things, which we'll be participating in, we'll also be doing some reflective pieces. We'll have communion along the way, at least once. I can't remember now exactly what our schedule is for that. And so I will be acting as chaplain for the pilgrimage, and my wife Drew, who's the one who has the our little grandson on her shoulder there, I think you can see, will be with us as well. She was not late, but just coming in at the last minute to the meeting after having done her weekly contemplative prayer group that she leads on Tuesdays. But between the two of us, I think we'll be the four of us actually will be well resourced to really delve into and breathe in the life, the place, the essence, the being of Hildegard, and have the opportunity to really open ourselves up to have our own spiritual experience if we're willing and able to do that. So I look forward to being with you all, and it should be a great trip. Good time of the year.
I think it's important, and as John just said, this is not the Camino. You're not going to be replacing your shoes after 3 days.
But you will be doing a lot of walking. So the way that I've tried to structure this, I think our longest walk, rather than looking at it in the terms of miles, I've been trying to look at it more as far as time. So we have a lot of very full days, and we have some days that have not so much scheduled. So there's a lot of days we'll be leaving first thing in the morning. We'll be walking for maybe 45 minutes, an hour in one location. And then we'll go to another location and maybe walk for another 2 hours. We have a couple of days where we do have probably a 3-hour straight walk. And again, miles wise, I could look up how many miles that is, but it's, I would say every day is going to be around 10,000 steps. There are some days that are considerably more than that. And there are some days that will be a little less than that. But we've tried to balance it a little bit so that if we have a long walk day, the next day is going to be not quite so much. And because we are staying in the same place every night, if you're just having one of those days that you just need some time off, then we'll meet you for dinner. We'll see you later that night. And if you want it a little harder, we can make it harder. So there's a lot of different options here.